A collapse will tear down the curtain which hides the reality of the current economic setting in the UK. It is a contagion that is spreading throughout the nations because of the same political and monetary policies of maximum debt and greed. Unknowingly, the public is finding themselves with less and less money to save, and it has appeared to be near the end now. There is no way to escape the inevitable. Watch for the signs of the crash and hang on. This is 5 reasons why the UK economy will collapse. Of course, this is not a definitive list, and of course there are more reasons. Some have more weight than others, but these are just some things to think about. I have received many requests for individual countries, and I will be going through many of these and putting them in a playlist. So right now, this is about the UK. Now, this is one positive thing I will mention, that the British pound sterling is its own currency. They did not get forced onto the euro. That would have destroyed the country completely, but they have managed to stay within their own currency, a very important thing. Now, the unfortunate thing is that a lot of their laws are created by the EU. They do not make their laws, and here you can see what proportion of the UK laws comes from Brussels. Now they say there's many different calculations and formula depending on how you use it. However, if we take the last statistic at the bottom there, you're looking at about half of the laws not being created by their own government, and that's where you have a tyranny setting in. When you have unelected technocrats making the laws for a nation, this spells disaster for the future. And you can see that happening big time in other countries in the EU. It is not a good idea to have somebody else that's not elected, even if they are phony elections, to have somebody else make those decisions. I see that as a very bad sign of the future. They're also really getting into the quantitative easing, the Bank of England sticking with only, they say, no more than 375 billion of this quantitative easing. Although that is definitely lower than what the US is doing, it's still a significant portion of this so-called quantitative easing, monetary printing, credit increasing, whatever you want to call it. It's all devaluation of the dollar, and that is a big problem for them. This is the debt in the UK itself, and of course there are many different calculations. It depends on what you include. You don't want to use the government statistics, that's for sure. Here is one of these statistics showing up to 900% debt to GDP ratio, and that is something you cannot withstand at all. Now, this seems like a very high estimate. I've seen much lower. However, the fact remains is that it is much, much greater than 100% of the GDP, and that is entirely unsustainable, and it will collapse undoubtedly. This is a big, big fear. Bank of England hasn't cracked the mystery of UK productivity collapse. They're saying that they have a big problem with their productivity, and they're using the word collapse right here. That's the Wall Street Journal. This is a big problem. And why is that the case? Why is there low productivity right now? Well, that goes into one of the things I'll bring up in one of the next articles here. First, I'll discuss this. UK student loan system near collapse. It is another problem that they are having with the UK students not being able to pay back their debt. Why? Because they can't get good jobs. That's the problem. Same in the US, where these individuals, they go to school for many years, they come out with such a large student debt, and they simply can't pay it off with the jobs that they can find, which are generally part-time, they're low wages, so on and so forth. So you have a very big problem, and it's particularly interesting when we include this next article. UK avoids triple dip recession with better than expected 0.3% GDP growth. And they're happy about this. They're saying this is an economy fit for the future. They're saying that this is, really starting to look bright, so on and so forth. They had a double dip recession, and they were looking into a triple dip recession, and they are proud about essentially zero growth. This is what it has come to now, where even with all this quantitative easing, all of these low interest rates, and all their other games that they're playing, playing, you're still getting essentially 0% growth. And that is the future. That's what I'm talking about here, because you want to talk about what's happening with productivity. You have no real growth because all the jobs are shipped overseas. This is big, very big in the UK, and is very big in the US, when you're left with nothing but the retail jobs and so on and so forth. When all the manufacturing jobs have left, there's nothing going on, and nothing really to look bright into the future. You look at who's making the laws, and it's not even their own country, it's not even their own government. So it spells disaster for the future. I am very concerned about what's happening with the UK over the next few years and into the next few decades. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and of course, if you want to see a video about your country or a country that you're interested in, I hope that you will post it down below in the comments, and of course give me a thumbs up on this type of information, and that you will become an insider. The Insiders is where I give out all of my best information, and that is totally free. It's at themoneygps.com. You scroll down to the bottom and fill in your email address, and you get occasional emails from me with good, short, concise info.